you kind of said this. You asked this question earlier, Dave, before we were recording. Is there such a thing now, today, as hip-hop journalists with kind of like the death of magazines per se? Right. And really, you know, we have the Shade Room. You know, we have, you know, Miracle mentioned earlier, we have a DJ Academics. It's like, as we have, like, you know, different podcasts, like, do you kind of look at this and like, is your heart breaking? Like people aren't really writing and breaking things like they used to be. So how do you see the current state of hip hop journalism?
In terms of, is there hip hop journalism? I mean, I think it's a complicated question. I think we have to talk about some of the things that have changed.
Yeah.
Because I feel that a part of the answer to the question is, who is the audience? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we've gone through so many evolutions out of the hip hop magazine era that defined.
Can you just move the mic a little bit closer to you? Yeah.
Out of the era that the magazine era that defined hip hop journalism,
right?
You know, we have to also recognize some of the aspects of what made that. But out of that era, we then went into an era of it was the .com boom,
right?
You know,
like the blogs, because I remember it was like
even before the blogs.
Oh, before the blogs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what those magazines, they were online magazines,
right.
That model,
like all hip hop.
What
was before all hip hop?
360.com.
360 hip hop.
360 hip hop.
I don't remember that.
That was
Russell's. Okay,
That's right.
Yeah.
And there were others, and so we go
pre-World Star,
Urban Box Office.
Urban Box Office. Yeah, so we kind of came out of that period.
Hook.com.
So the .com period lasted a very short time,
right?
Where you had all this venture capital being dumped into the creation, of these online whatevers,
right?
Pets.com. I mean, everything.
Yeah. I remember Pets.com. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And so out of that, we then evolved into the blogging period, and out of that, and then now some of these things all starting to coexist.
Right.
We come into the social media moment, and then the blogging period kind of repositions itself.
Yeah, because I remember the time when like you had to be. That's when I kind of come in as an artist during the blogging period. You know, allhiphop.com was the site that broke me and began to kind of support me, and Biko was at SOHH.
That's right.
.com, and then
Biko also used to work at the Source.
Right. Biko was at the Source. Y'all had a hell of a crew.
Yeah.
And I remember like Nah Right was like Nah Right, Two Dope Boys, and it was kind of like the importance of being on these sites,
right?
And what they could mean to, like, they were like breaking artists.
Yeah, there was Hip Hop DX. There was Kevin Nottingham.
Yes.
I mean, those are two sites that always
Brian Crawford.
Undergroundhiphop.com, YoRaps.com.
But then it seemed like
hiphopgame.com.
Right.
Yeah.
But it seemed like, kind of like you said, when social media comes, it kind of like almost tidal waved them where it didn't really matter.
It started to matter less.
It started to matter less. Yeah.
This is the other complicating variable, and that is, where is the money? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And again, the fans.
Like, who's paying these?
That's right. That's right. So like when we were doing the Source,
right?
You know, an important part of the model was writers were getting paid.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's, I mean, and I think that's so important because it shapes what the journalism looks like.
Right.
So the more so one of the things that happen as we make the transition between the magazines to the online magazine,
right?
People are getting paid less because the advertising model shifted.
Right.
So like this stuff is really important to really understand where we are now. But the other thing that's also changing is the fans. So what the fans are wanting, what the fans are accepting, what the fans are reacting to. Some of the, some people might argue that reality TV with, certain hip hop presentations is a form of journalism.
Nah.
So I mean,
we're talking 11 hip hop.
Well,
nah.
I think you can make the argument because it's scripted. it's informing and it's influencing the how
Oh,
audience
absolutely,
is being
absolutely,
shaped.
absolutely.
And so that
unique
then
take.
I think helps to prepare for a podcasting audience in some way, because some of the podcasting dimension is a reality dimension. Now back to the journalism question. With journalism, you know, and again, the era that we started doing the journalism in, it was an audience that had a bar for a certain degree of intellectualism. So it was an informed audience. I mean, even the fact that lyricism was important in hip hop,
Right.
that was a reflection of the audience. I mean, the audience wanted that high caliber of an intellectual MC, and that was something that was important. So I feel like all of these variables, the money variable, advertising dollars, all of this helps to shape how it starts to be different. Then the other thing to pay attention to also is what's happening in the media landscape in general.
Right.
So
because the money is coming out of all the media landscapes, not just magazines.
So
right.
the whole idea of
papers had to figure it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The whole idea of what journalism is changing,
right.
and it's starting to let in things that are either you could call a different standard or almost no standard.
Yeah.
So I think that is where we are. One of the things I would say though is we used to argue that we wanted radio to be more broad in what they were playing,
right?
And I think that we didn't imagine what a worst case scenario of that would look like.
Right.
So kind of
where there's no radio at this point.
Right. But I'm saying the argument for radio playing more, we have seen the manifestation of what getting more looks like. And it's changed the whole landscape of what hip hop is.
Right.
It's changed the landscape of the fan. So you got different fans, you got different people who are now doing a journalistic function.
Right.
With a completely different standard. I mean, there's some of these podcasts that I've heard of who are actually paying artists for interviews. Like that was unheard of. That was unheard of.
Yeah.
That, you know, people didn't do that in journalism. People would say it wasn't serious.
Right.
So I mean, I think all of those things are, I think, what's changed.
You didn't want to name those artists.
Yeah, I didn't.
Those podcasts.